Direct injector uScope testing on a Ford Focus. Gasoline direct injectors are located under the intake manifold, and they are impossible to get to without the removal of the manifold. If you locate the high pressure pump that is driven by the camshaft, you can follow the fuel line that feeds the injectors. This vehicle is unique because Ford put the electrical connector for the injectors in an easy location for testing. We can verify this by comparing the wire colors to the wiring diagram. For example, the green and violet, blue and orange, and yellow and orange wires on the connector can be verified with the green and violet, blue and orange, and yellow and orange on the wiring diagram. To use the amp clamp, we will need to peel back the harness conduit just enough to have the amp clamp access to the injector wires. Turn the amp clamp on to the 20 amp position and clamp it around one of the injector wires. Make sure the clamp is completely closed. Connect the amp clamp to the uScope and turn it on. This is what I'm getting, so I need to make some changes to the settings. If the pattern was upside down, I could use the invert feature or flip the clamp over. First, I'm going to change the probe to 100 to 1 amps by navigating to the menu, vertical, and probe calibrations. Use the left and right arrows to select 100 to 1 amps and press OK. Second, navigate to the amp vertical scale and use the up and down arrows to change the settings to 2 amps per division. Third, navigate the time or sweep setting to change that to 2 milliseconds per division. Set the trigger to normal on the rise with a threshold of 2.08 amps. Then reset the horizontal sweep scale to 500 microseconds per division. As a personal preference, I will shift the horizontal trigger 2 graduations to the left. To do this, navigate to the menu, select horizontal, select HPOS, and press the left arrow twice, then OK. Once you're happy with your settings, press the A button to save them. Note the save setting number. In my case, it's 068. Test it by turning off the scope, then back on again. Navigate to the menu, Presets, User Settings, then use the left or right arrows to locate the 068 file. Press OK and hold it down until the settings load. The first thing you should notice is a glitch that AES Wave is working on a fix for. Check the amp scale and notice that it says 10 amps, not the 2 amps you set it on. However, the horizontal scale still reflects a 2 amp scale, and yet the maximum value on the meter is 79.5 amps, which is not correct. You'll need to navigate back to the vertical amplitude or amp scale and set it back to 2 amps to correct the waveform on the screen. As a quick analysis, we see a ramping surge of amps that quickly drops off and is maintained by a pulse modulation for a period of time before the injector is turned off. Look for sharp on and off points, look for amps to ramp up as compared to straight up, and the amps need to be maintained for a period of time. Direct injector uScope voltage testing. Connect the ground clamp to a good ground. Use the 10 to 1 attenuator adapter by plugging it into the green scope lead. Plug the back probe pin into the attenuator. Back probe the injector wire at the connector. Start the engine. Change the probe settings on the scope to 10 to 1 volts. From the menus, select vertical, probe calibration, then use the left or right arrows to select 10 to 1 volts and press OK. Navigate to the amplitude or voltage value and change that to 20 volts. Change the time or sweep to 2 milliseconds per division. Leave the trigger on auto, 36 volts, and on the rise. Press the A button and note the saved file name. This one is 071. Turn the scope off and back on again to test the preset. From the menu, navigate to the preset and user setups. Use the left or right arrow buttons to locate the preset. Mine is 071. Press and hold down the OK button until the presets load. To turn off the reference file, navigate to the menu, then to presets and press OK. Navigate to the reference show and use the left or right arrow buttons to turn off the reference file image and press OK. I tried this without the use of the 10-to-1 attenuator, and this maxes out the scope voltage capabilities. However, the pattern has more detail. Backprobe the injector without using the attenuator. Set the voltage to the maximum of 10 volts per division. Change the timer sweep to 500 microseconds per division. Leave the trigger on auto, 10.4 volts, and on the rise. The voltage spike is off the screen or nearly off the screen. However, the digital pulse modulation square waveform is more pronounced and cleaner.